Hi, I'm Lisa from Life Education. Welcome back. This is our second session in the Decisions module. You might remember that last time we met, we talked about decision making. Decision making. When we make a decision, we need to consider three very important things: the information that we have, the possible consequences of our decision, and who or what is influencing us when we make our decision. Today we're going to go back up here to number one, information. We're going to gather information today about different drugs to help us make decisions now and in the future. So, what is a drug? What makes a drug a drug? To know this, we need to know the definition. A drug is any substance other than food, water or oxygen that when it enters the body changes the way the body works. This is the most important thing to remember. Changes the way the body works. Medicines are drugs because they change the way the body works. Have a think for a moment about asthma and medication that a person uses when they're having an asthma attack. So a person's feeling a little bit tight in their chest, their airways are tightening up. What do? They use their medicine. When they breathe the medicine in, it is breathed down into the lungs, it opens up the airways, and they can breathe easily again. The drug, a medical drug, has changed the way the body works. Medicines are drugs, but not all drugs are medicines. Let's find out how we can group drugs. Let's have a look now at how we group or classify drugs. One of the simplest classifications is to put them into groups depending on whether they are used for medicines or they are non-medical. Medical drugs include things like insulin, paracetamol and antibiotics. Non-medical drugs are things like caffeine, that's found in some of those fizzy drinks and energy drinks and coffee. Also alcohol and nicotine that's in the tobacco in cigarettes go into the non-medical category. We can also divide drugs into groups depending on the laws around them. We have drugs that are legal, such as medical drugs, or alcohol, or again, nicotine that's in cigarettes, or illegal. Illegal drugs include things like cocaine, amphetamines, or crystal methamphetamine, which you might have heard of as ice. All drugs can be harmful, even medical drugs. Because drugs can be risky, we have laws around their use. So for example, some medical drugs can only be obtained with a prescription from a doctor. Some non-medical drugs can only be purchased by an adult, someone who's over 18, like alcohol and cigarettes. Laws change as we learn more about different drugs. A really simple example of this is cigarettes. Again, going back to your grandparents' time, and I think I mentioned that before, in the past, cigarettes had very little laws about them. In fact, anyone, any age, could go and buy a packet of cigarettes and smoke them pretty much anywhere they wanted, anytime they wanted. But about 40 years ago, the scientists and the doctors started to see through their research that cigarette smoke was harmful, not just to the person who was smoking, but also to the people around them. And once we had that evidence, the laws changed. Now people can't smoke in most places, and people have to be over 18 and making adult decisions to purchase cigarettes. The laws in Australia are designed to keep people and communities safe. We learn more about drugs all the time, but there's still quite a lot of myths out there. Let's see if we can sort some of them out. Smoking just a few cigarettes a day is fairly harmless. It's a myth. In fact, even just a few cigarettes a day can increase the risk of dying from lung cancer or heart attacks. Eating a meal before drinking alcohol will stop a person from getting drunk. No, this is actually a myth. Food in the stomach will slow down the rate that alcohol gets absorbed into the bloodstream, but the person will still have the effects of alcohol in their body and may still get drunk. There is a proven link between secondhand smoke and disease. Yep, this is a fact. secondhand smoke is a health risk to the people who are around the smoker. When a young person chooses not to drink alcohol, they are not at any risk of harm. Well, it's kind of true, but it's also a bit of a myth. Of course, for a young person not to drink alcohol, that is the best choice for their body and their developing brain. However, if they're around other people who have been drinking, they might be at risk from that other person's choices. Children under 18 years of age are at the greatest risk of harm from drinking alcohol. Yeah, this is a fact. Drinking alcohol during the teenage years especially is harmful because this is a stage where your brain is going to be going through lots of redevelopment and rewiring. There are over 4,000 chemicals in cigarette smoke. Fact. Not only are there over 4,000, but 60 of them have been identified as causing cancer. We've grouped drugs into medical and non-medical and legal and illegal groups. But we can also classify them according to the effects that they have on the body. Drugs that enter the body and the bloodstream, go to the brain and speed up the central nervous system are called stimulants. Let's have a look at one of those stimulants, caffeine. Did you notice the heart beating faster? Let's learn more about stimulants.
When we come face to face with something frightening and dangerous, our bodies produce chemicals that put our bodies on high alert. These chemicals make our minds more alert and reactions and reflexes faster, our heart beats faster, and our muscles work harder and better. That means we have a better chance of getting away from whatever is coming after us. These chemicals, such as dopamine, noradrenaline, and serotonin, also produce feelings of excitement and exhilaration. These feelings can be enjoyable, so enjoyable that people may even put themselves in danger just to experience them. Not everyone wants to jump out of a plane. Some people choose to get the same feeling by taking a drug instead. Stimulants are a class of drugs that do this. They act like these chemicals in the body, artificially increasing a person's alertness, attention, and energy. That's why stimulants are sometimes called uppers. Stimulants come in many forms. Some are legal and in common use, such as nicotine in cigarettes, and caffeine found in coffee, tea, and energy drinks. Other stimulant drugs are available as prescription medicine and come in tablets or capsules. Others are made illegally, including drugs like MDMA, also known as ecstasy, methamphetamine, known as speed, ice or crystal meth, and cocaine, also known as coke. People take stimulants because these drugs can make them feel more awake, alert, confident, or energetic. Stimulants can seem to make a person think faster and more clearly. They're sometimes taken at parties, dance clubs, or music festivals. People think that by taking these drugs, they will have extra energy to party on. But too much stimulation can have unwanted effects on the body. As the drug wears off, a person may feel restless and get headaches, stomach cramps, dry mouth, and sweating. They may become overexcited, anxious, and agitated, and experience feelings of aggression and anger. Another problem is that a person may not know what they are taking in a pill or a capsule. The drug could be mixed with other drugs or substances that may be stronger or produce unknown effects. And if a person mixes these drugs with other drugs or alcohol, they may be likely to overdose. After being high from stimulants, the user can experience a come down or crash, feeling tired and exhausted moody and irritable, and unable to concentrate. Stimulants can be very addictive, which can affect a person's study and work prospects and their relationships with friends and family. Using stimulants can cause mental health problems, especially in people who already have mental health issues. They may cause a person to experience unusual thoughts and delusions, and even psychosis. And if a needle is shared to inject the drug, a person may develop viruses such as hepatitis C or HIV. Being caught by the police in possession of illegal drugs can have legal implications affecting a person's life later on, which could then affect their plans for work or travel. So there are plenty of reasons to avoid stimulants and find other safe ways to get a thrill.
Some drugs slow down messages travelling through the nervous system. We call these drugs depressants, not because they make a person feel sad or depressed, but because they depress the nervous system. Let's have a look at how a drug like alcohol does this in the body. Alcohol slows down the heart rate, reactions, and reflexes. This is why it's not safe for a person to drive a car after they've been drinking. Let's learn a bit more now about other depressant drugs.
Do you ever get the feeling that on planet Earth, the pace of life is getting faster and faster? We all feel that way sometimes, but it's not easy to just relax and chill out. People can find it hard to relax whenever they want, so sometimes they may use drugs to help them. Drugs that do this are called depressants. These drugs aren't called depressants because they make a person depressed. They're given this name because they depress the activity of the brain, slowing down the messages between the brain and the body. As the brain and the body slows down, the person feels more relaxed. There are many different types of depressant drugs. Some are illegal, such as heroin. Others are available as medicines with a prescription from a doctor and are used to help with pain. Alcohol is a commonly used depressant, so is cannabis. Many prescription drugs, such as sleeping pills, sedatives, and relaxants, are also depressants. Opiates, such as heroin, morphine, codeine, and methadone, are also depressants. They are strong pain-killing drugs. In small doses, depressants can cause a person to feel more relaxed and less inhibited. They can also produce feelings of happiness and contentment. But larger doses can cause drowsiness and sleepiness. If the dose is too large, the body can start to shut down. The heart beats slower, blood pressure goes down, breathing gets slower. The person becomes uncoordinated, confused, and may lose consciousness and stop breathing. They may go into a coma and even die. This makes these drugs especially dangerous in terms of the risk of overdose, which is having more than the body can cope with. Depressants, especially opiates, are known to be very addictive. After taking them for a while, the body gets used to the drug, so the person needs to take larger doses to get the same effect. If a person suddenly stops taking the drug, they may experience withdrawal symptoms such as weakness, insomnia, nausea, irritability, and depression. Being in possession of illegal drugs may affect a person's life later on, and a criminal conviction could affect their plans for work or travel. Being dependent on a drug can affect not only their health, but a person's relationships with friends and family, and their job prospects. Now that is depressing. Depressants may produce a temporary feeling of relaxation and well-being, but as we've seen, they can also harm the body. The good news is there are plenty of other fun ways to relax and feel good.
Today we focused on information about different drugs. We've looked at how drugs are grouped and how drugs affect the body. To continue your learning, your teacher is going to assign you some independent learning tasks. I look forward to seeing you again for session 3. Bye.